Have you ever used something so familiar that you never stopped to ask where it came from? Millions of people have played with it. Children throw it in parks, athletes compete with it, and families bring it to beaches around the world. Today, it seems like a simple toy, something that has always existed. But what if I told you that one of the most recognizable objects in America was never meant to be a toy at all? It wasn't created by a famous inventor, it wasn't developed in a laboratory, and it wasn't launched by a major corporation with a brilliant marketing plan. Its story begins more than 150 years ago in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Back then, Bridgeport was a growing American city filled with factories, small businesses, and hard-working people trying to make a living. Among those businesses was a bakery known as the Frisbee Pie Company. The company was successful. Every day, its workers baked thousands of pies and delivered them across the region using horse-drawn wagons. The bakery's pie tins were stamped with the company name, Frisbee. At the time, nobody paid much attention to those metal containers. They were simply part of the job. But during lunch breaks, something unusual began to happen. The delivery drivers often gathered behind the bakery to eat, talk, and escape the routine of their workday. One afternoon, a driver became bored and grabbed an empty pie tin from his wagon. Instead of setting it down, he tossed it toward another worker. The tin spun through the air. The other workers laughed. Soon another driver threw one back. Then another joined in. Before long, a simple joke had turned into a daily activity. The workers discovered that the pie tins flew surprisingly well. If they held them a certain way and snapped their wrists at the right moment, the tins would glide through the air with remarkable accuracy. What started as a way to pass the time slowly became a skill. The workers experimented with different throwing techniques. Some could throw farther than others. Some became incredibly accurate. The lunch break contests became a regular part of life at the bakery. None of them realized they were creating the foundation for something much bigger. As the years passed, the idea spread beyond the bakery. Students from nearby colleges saw the flying pie tins and began throwing them as well. The activity quickly became popular on college campuses throughout the Northeast. Young people loved the challenge. The spinning tins were fun, inexpensive, and easy to share with friends. Soon students at universities across the country were tossing flying discs through the air. Many of them called the discs Frisbees because that was the name stamped on the original pie tins. The name stuck. What makes this story remarkable is that nobody planned any of it. There was no business strategy. There was no invention process. There was no meeting where executives decided to create a new sport. A group of ordinary workers had accidentally started a cultural phenomenon. Then, decades later, another important chapter began. In the late 1940s, an inventor named Walter Morrison noticed the growing popularity of flying discs. He believed the idea could be improved. Metal pie tins worked, but they weren't ideal. They could bend, dent, and sometimes become dangerous when thrown. Morrison began experimenting with plastic designs that were lighter, safer, and capable of flying even better. His new flying disc attracted attention. As interest grew, a toy company called Wham-O purchased the rights to manufacture and sell the product on a larger scale. The company soon learned something interesting. Many customers were already calling flying discs Frisbees. The nickname had survived for decades. Rather than fight it, the company embraced it. To avoid trademark issues, they changed the spelling slightly and introduced the product as the Frisbee. The response was extraordinary. Sales exploded. Families bought them. Schools bought them. Parks filled with people throwing them. What had once been a bakery container was now one of the most popular recreational products in America. But the story didn't stop there. As the years passed, people discovered new ways to use the Frisbee. Organized competitions appeared. Athletes developed incredible throwing skills. Entire sports were created around the flying disc. Eventually, games like Ultimate Frisbee attracted serious competitors and passionate fans around the world. Today, professional players train for years to master throws that those bakery workers could never have imagined. The Frisbee has become a symbol of fun, recreation, and outdoor activity. Yet hidden behind its success is a simple truth. The Frisbee was never supposed to exist. No inventor sat down with a blueprint and imagined a global phenomenon. No company predicted that millions of people would one day play with a flying disc. The entire story began because a few bored workers were looking for a way to make their lunch break more interesting. That is what makes this story so fascinating. Many of history's most influential ideas did not begin with careful planning. Sometimes they begin with curiosity. Sometimes they begin with experimentation, and sometimes they begin with ordinary people doing something unexpected. More than a century ago, behind a small bakery in Connecticut, a group of workers tossed a pie tin through the air and laughed. They couldn't have known that their simple act would inspire a toy, a sport, and a worldwide tradition. Yet every time a Frisbee spins across a park, a beach, or a playing field, it carries a small piece of that forgotten story with it. A story that reminds us that extraordinary things can come from the most ordinary moments. And now, you know the rest of the story.